If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
In this episode of Mind Pump, so we have a lot of fun. We talk all about fitness, health, building muscle, burning body fat, improving performance, and we also talk a little bit about current events. Here is what we did in this episode. For the first 42 minutes, we did our introductory conversation. We started out by talking about Disney and Universal Studios. I visited them with my kids over 2 days. We must have taken like 50,000 steps.
You powered it out, huh?
Yeah, my hips got a little sore and it was tough to sleep. Thankfully, I had full spectrum hemp oil extract from Ned. It's the best in the market. It also has CBD in it. Took that before bed, settled me down, helped me sleep, and I felt less inflamed. Now, we are sponsored by Ned. If you go to helloned.com/mindpump, you'll get 15% off your first purchase. Adam talked all about the dad life. He's a month into it, and it looks like it's getting more fun.
Washing cars are fun now.
He got on that house to go buy dog food. Good time. Justin gave us his jock-itch athlete's foot story.
It was athlete's foot.
Right. We talked about how California is passing a law to limit full contact practice in youth football. So little by little, we'll be wrapping people up in bubble tape here in California.
Bunch of weenies.
We talked about how our kids are using blue blocking glasses when they're on their computers. Nowadays, kids use technology and are looking at screens at far higher rates than ever before.
All day long.
And sometimes before bed, which can make sleep less productive. It can actually make it more difficult to fall asleep and not as effective. Wearing blue blockers before bed has been shown to increase melatonin production, and this is especially true for children. Felix Ray makes blue blocking glasses for both adults and children. Oh, and by the way, they're having a huge sale right now, 15% off select sun styles, and they are one of our sponsors. Here's what you do. Go to felixgrayglasses.com. That's FELIXGRAY glasses.com/mindpump. You'll get free shipping and free returns, and of course, there's a sale going on right now. Then we talked about how Tool is on Spotify now. Justin talked all about how he was binging on Tool this weekend.
Didn't sound right.
Didn't sound right the way he said it. And then I talked about a study on epigenetics and how your stress may be passed on to your children and grandchildren.
Great.
Then we get into the fitness portion of this episode. First question, this person wants to know about the pros and cons to powerlifting type training and bodybuilding type training. So what's the good and the bad of each, and how should you combine them both? Next question, this person wants to know about ab machines. Are there any good ab machines that are out there, or are all them garbage, like we usually say? Next question, this person wants to know how we recommend deload weeks. A deload week is when you go into the gym and you work out lighter, or you do different exercises to give your body time to catch up and recover so you can come back stronger. And the final question, this person wants to know about painful hip flexors. How do you train around painful hip flexors, or how do you remedy hip flexors that are tight and sore? Also, this month, for the first time ever, MAPS Prime and MAPS Prime Pro are 50% off.
Get the hell out of here.
Now, MAPS Prime is the program that teaches you the exercises and movements you need for your individual body. There's a test in there that you take, so you figure this out for yourself. What movements you need to do to get your body properly primed before your workout. It'll make any workout much more effective. So in other words, don't change your workout. Just prime properly and watch your body progress faster. Now, MAPS Prime Pro is a correctional program. So this is for people with chronic pain or for people who want to prevent injury. There are exercises and movements that target every major joint in the body. There's a test in there as well to help you identify mobility issues. Both those programs are 50% off. Here's what you do to get the discount. Go to mapsfitnessproducts.com, find the program that you want, and then use the code PRIME50, PRIME50 for the discount.
T-shirt time! And it's T-shirt time.
Oh, shit, Doug, you know it's my favorite time of the week.
Ooh-wee. All right, we have 4 winners for both iTunes and Facebook. So for iTunes, we have Andy Per 88, Cool Person 1701, Squidward Tentacles, and for Facebook, only 1 winner. Very light there this week. Angela Isaac. To collect your shirt, send the name I just read to iTunes at mindpumpmedia.com. Send your shirt size, your shipping address, and include your Instagram handle, and we'll get that shirt right out to you.
I got up right now because, we sat down to do meetings or whatever. So we were sitting down for an hour and a half. Dude, I got up. That was
a lot of work.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
I felt everything. I felt like I needed WD-40.
Yeah.
Because I walked so much this last weekend, like insane.
Where do you feel it most? In your hips, your back, your knees, what?
So here's the whole deal. This is for people who are, I think we're on right now, so I'll tell the story. So the idea was to do Disneyland Saturday, Universal Studios Sunday. Okay? In and out. So we flew in.
Yeah, that's a monster.
We flew in Saturday. We landed at 8 a.m. straight to Disneyland. Stayed at the Disneyland Hotel. Stayed at Disneyland. Star Wars Land was great, by the way.
How'd you like that?
Edge?
Oh, dude.
It was so awesome.
Yeah.
They do so good. They do such a good job. By the way, do you guys know how much money Disneyland profits every single day? This is according to the internet. Every day, $4 to $6 million a day profit.
Wow.
Disneyland.
Wow.
Profit. Yeah, because as I'm there, I know
That's insane. No wonder they're buying everything.
That's not possible.
Bro,
I don't know.
Do you know how expensive it is to go
really
there?
Expensive.
And then one small bottle of water
like
is $5.
$500 to $600 like per family, right?
Oh,
Something
Yeah,
like
I know.
that.
So I'm trying to do the
Plus
math.
merchandise,
I'm trying to do
plus
the
food.
math on what that would have to be traffic-wise per person per day. If you just figure out what you're saying, okay, water, food, figure each person spends.
Yeah, find out like what their typical day is in terms of like visitors.
it's this was from this was online, so I'll look it up again.
Well, I know.
Disneyland.
That's why I got to fact check you all the time because you get your information from there.
From where?
From
the
online.
best source of information Google ever.
That's right. Instant access.
I mean, for the most part it is, but every once in a while you get some bullshit thing like that.
It says, Disneyland grosses a combined $13.6 billion from their 6 domestic parks annually. That's what they gross. If you assume the 6 parks earn revenues, okay, that's not. Let's find a more specific.
Doug's got something up there right now. It
What does
says
it say?
4.5. Oh, it's billion. That's talking about again. Now we're doing annual again.
But that's a profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4.5 billion
Of profit
for all parks.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's
legit.
insane, right?
Yeah, to pay for, all the maintenance and like everybody.
Well, it's not, but it's because yes, the tickets are expensive as hell. Which when I'm seeing families of like with 4 kids, I'm like, man, those parents spent a ton of money.
Yeah.
But the merchandise, the food, literally a bottle of water is $5 for a small bottle of water. It's insane. Everything super expensive. But anyway, they do such a phenomenal job there. We were at the Galaxy's Edge, and stormtroopers approached my daughter.
Yeah.
And one of the characters, one of the Sith Lords or whatever, approaches my daughter. And he's like, everyone's circle around, because when they're walking around the park, everybody's like, oh my God, trying to take pictures. Then he points at my daughter and he goes, come here. So she walks over there and he's like,
Is it Kylo Ren?
yeah. And he's like, when I ask you to, will you join the dark side with me? And she's like, okay. And he's like,
She said, okay.
She's like,
I didn't take much convincing.
no, because she was all shy, right?
Yeah.
So when I ask for your help, you will help us defeat the Rebel Alliance or whatever. And she's like, okay, yeah. So then he leaves, right? So my son walks up to her and he goes, you just joined the dark side. She's like, no, I was lying. That's not what happened. Dude, the whole time she was there, she was worried.
She's worried she actually went to the dark side.
I'm like, you got to find him and tell him.
Oh, man.
You got to go find him and tell him you're not. She's like, I don't want to. Can you tell him? I'm like, I don't know, man. You're on the dark side.
Did you get to see the cantina area and all that inside?
Yeah.
And you know what I missed was where they actually build the droids and everything.
I didn't see
Did
that.
you see that?
No.
Oh, yeah.
But we went on a lot of rides. The one in Galaxy's Edge, the one where you're riding the Millennium Falcon
Right,
or whatever. I got a little bit of motion sickness in that.
Yeah.
Did
I
you?
could see that? Not really. I mean, were you sitting in the back, one of the engineers?
He is the guy that has to
Lance.
ride shotgun everywhere we go.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But we did
You
that.
got some Dramamine just to go down the street.
Get off the couch.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm dizzy.
Yeah.
But we were there all day until we saw the fireworks. So we were there till 10 o'clock at night. And then we went to bed, woke up the next day, went to
8 to
Universal.
10, dude.
Yes.
What time does the park close these days?
Midnight.
Oh, it goes to midnight.
Yeah.
So it was packed because when
Packed.
I was there, it was crazy. I didn't even need fast passes. I was like right in the front.
So the guy, I was asking them, I was talking to people that work there. I'm like, man, it is packed in here. They're like, yeah, it was slow for a while because everybody thought it would be so busy when they opened up the Star Wars
That's
side.
why.
So everybody's
weird.
like, oh, I'm not going to go. And then it made it slow.
Oh, that's funny.
But then it got crazy, and he said that this was
I got so lucky.
He said this was the busiest weekend that they'd seen in a long time. It was insane.
Yeah.
And then we went to Universal Studios the next day, and Universal, man, I mean, I'm telling you, they kill it, dude. They give Disney a big run for their money.
Really?
Oh, in terms of pure special effects and quality, I think they beat Disney. I think Disney
What about
has
their rides though?
kills Disney.
Their rides?
Kills Disney.
Which ones?
Dude, the Transformer one was insane.
Really?
Yes, I did that.
Like thrill wise, or because
Harry Potter?
what they did really well.
Harry Potter was
It's been a
amazing.
long time since I've been a kid and went to because it was it was before '99 when I went to Universal, and when I went there, it was like Jaws, Earthquake.
Yeah, they still have that.
Right. Like, and what made Universal cool was not
Was it Jurassic Park there?
wasn't the ride. It wasn't the ride so much, but like the effects.
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
But they also have rides and stuff that are good too.
Really?
Yeah, they're really good. They have some really good rides.
I haven't
too.
been there in years.
Yeah, I haven't been there. Yeah, that's why I'm
It's
asking.
fucking massive, dude. There's
Huh,
two
I'll have to
levels.
check it out.
There's two levels. You go to the lower lot, and that's where you get the Transformers and you get the Jurassic Park. Their Express Pass is superior to Disney because at Disney, I did the Max Pass thing that's on the app, and you can reserve the rides, but they only allow you to reserve so many rides at one time. You have to wait, and you still have to wait in line when you get there. It's just a 25, 30-minute wait instead of an hour and a half. Universal, dude, but it was way more expensive. I got to say that too. Universal's way more expensive.
Yeah.
You walk in there with the Express Pass, 5 minutes. I'm in. Boom, every single ride.
Dang.
Every time. Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, it was super, super cool.
How much is
So you
Universal?
guys were just running like this whole time, just going ride to ride to ride, or what?
Dude, and my kids were troopers. I'm so proud of them to do all. Oh, and then the Harry Potter section at Universal.
Yeah.
Bought my daughter one of those Harry Potter wands, and as you're walking through the park, you'll look at the floor, and there'll be like this little compass-looking thing with a design on it. And if you stand on it, point your wand, and follow the design, something will happen in the park. Yeah. So as we're walking through, she'll find one and she'll do the thing, and then like a door will open and something will happen, or she'll unlock something. Yeah,
That's cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Super cool.
So
Super
now,
cool.
remind me. I think you told me that you weren't going to tell the kids. Were they surprised? Was this a total?
Oh yeah. So what we did was
Yeah, you didn't even tell us how that played
no.
out.
So Friday, I told so my daughter, she's so goddamn. I gotta remember this. She's so sharp. She's like, why are you guys acting weird? I'm like, what are you talking about? We're not
Could
acting
already
weird.
sense it, huh?
She's like, something weird is going on. What's happening? Tell me. I'm like, nothing. I'm looking at Jessica like, what the fuck, this kid. But anyway, finally, I told my son comes over and I'm like, all right, we're gonna play Hangman. I'm like, let's play a game. So we're playing Hangman, and what they had to figure out was pack your bags. So they figure it out, and it says pack your bags. And I look at them, and they're like, what are we packing? Like something warm. They're like, okay. I'm like, when you come back down, then we'll play again. They're like, they run up there, they come back down. Then we played again, and then it said Disney and Universal, and Alessia got so excited she'd like laid on the floor. She was so fun.
I gotta take this all in.
Yeah, no, but we had a good time. But dude, the amount of walking, we probably did 25, 30,000 steps each day at least.
Yeah.
I bought everybody new shoes. We all had new like running shoes so we could be, but it was just my hips are sore. I smashed just three dropperfuls of Ned at night just to get my body to calm down and to be able to sleep because I knew the next day I had to wake up and do it again. Yeah, we got back at 10 o'clock at night Sunday. So we got there at 8 a.m. Saturday, 10 p.m. Sunday night. And you know what's funny? When I notice the benefits of cannabinoids, it's when I'm pushing my body to the extreme. When I'm at that level, then when I take it, I could tell 40 minutes later or so, like, oh.
See, I find the best use personally is when I have and which a day like that would be it too, is less of when I push my body and more of like when I just have a lot of adrenaline going. like when we do the talk, anytime we have a talk where we have to speak in front of a crowd or what that, like it just gets me hyped so much.
Settle you down, right?
Yeah, that I have a really hard time that night coming down from it. That's been like the go-to use for me is when we do something like that. So
no. Anyway, it's a good time. I can't wait. As I was there, it was funny. I was there walking around doing the family thing, and I'm like, it's going to be not that long. It's going to be like a few years or so where you're going to be there with your boy.
Oh, it's so much fun.
No, I'm excited. My buddy, they took their 1-year-old, so I don't know if I'm going to go that early or not. One's pretty early.
They don't remember.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I mean, what's cool about Disney is, even when they're like 2-3 years old, like you could take them on a lot of rides with you, and like so, like even if it's like that one part of the section of the park where it's like where all the Fantasyland stuff is, like you can go on a lot of stuff there. But
no, dude, we did the Walking Dead. They have a whole Walking Dead.
That's Universal,
house.
Right?
Universal. Went through that with Jessica. That was hilarious. Because you're walking through, dude, and there's like
they have real actors,
and they're professionals.
Dang.
And there's like areas where there's like fire burning or whatever, and you see something in the back, like what the hell is that? And then dude walks out, and he's like fucking making her scream her ass off. It was such a good time. But traveling with little ones though is a whole different experience. Like now my kids are a little older. Now they just walk and we do our shit. But when they're like 3, 4, I mean, it's fun, but you ain't doing a lot of stuff.
It ain't as fun.
Yeah,
it's not.
Well, they can't step very fast, or right? You can't.
You put them in a
the
stroller,
air,
bro.
Dude, the pressure from the plane, like I remember if they have any kind of little bit of a cold or something, it's like, oh my God. Like now to add like altitude and pressure and all that. And then like, I remember my son just like screaming like the whole time on the plane, and I'm like, sorry. I'm like the dad that's like walking up and down the hall.
I'm so nervous to be that guy.
It's awful, dude. You can't do anything about it. I don't care how cool you think you are and you're trying to pass it off. Like it's like you are seriously like you're trapped.
Yeah, that's why when I'm on a plane and there's a kid that's crying, I people
empathize
always,
now.
Yeah, people are so irritated. Like, why do you take it? I have kids, so when the person, I feel bad. I feel like, damn. Thank God
I never
that's not
took
me.
him on a plane again after that, dude. Not till he was old.
Dude, I went.
Screw this.
One time I went to Italy, and it was. I'm not exaggerating. So you're talking about like a 10-hour flight, more or maybe more. The whole flight, there was this one baby that was just crying. The whole
incessantly
10 hours.
Yeah, that
happens, dude.
ridiculous.
If I was the parent, I felt terrible for them. I was like, my gosh, that poor parent is really considering adoption right now.
Speaking of taking kids places, have you guys, either one of you guys, taken your kids to Pier 39 San Francisco?
Not in a
I
little
haven't
while.
yet.
So my boy went there. So my best friend took his daughter to Monterey last weekend, and my other best friend, they both have the young kids. He's like, nah, I don't want to go to Monterey. I think it's be crazy. I hear Pier 39 is pretty cool. He went to Pier 39. Dude, Pier 39 like shits on Monterey. Really? They have two full like long tubes that you walk through, and sharks swimming around it. And I'll show you. I have.
Wait a minute, Pier 39
Have
has
they
an
redone
aquarium?
the whole thing?
Yes, it's sick.
So it's an aquarium.
Dang, dude.
Yeah, it's a dope aquarium. So I'll show you guys.
I haven't been there for years.
He took all kinds of footage. I have a bunch of videos on my phone after we get
Really?
off. I'll show you guys.
Because the Monterey Aquarium is supposed to be one of the best in the world.
yeah.
I think it sucks. I think it's pretty whack.
Really?
Yeah, dude. It's way smaller than what I
I
anticipated.
love the aquarium.
Oh, I think it's
It's one of my favorite places in the world.
No.
It is. I love it.
I love starfish.
Oh, look, there's a website for it right there. But I'll show you the videos of them walking through it. I thought it was. I think it's better than.
Well, I don't even know. I'm gonna take my kids there.
Yeah.
I love aquariums. It's like my favorite thing. You get to see. I mean, it's science and awesome
You just got to
attraction.
deal with going to San Francisco. That's the only down turn there.
Driving through the whole
forget about
that
it.
mess. That's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point. How was your daddy weekend, Adam? With your
Dude, so I'm this is where I'm at right now, right? This is the new point. And I know you guys just love hearing this shit. So, and I like reluctantly share.
Let's see how this is like evolving.
That's
now.
why I tell Justin not to laugh at you, because I want to encourage you to share.
I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing because it's finally, Anyways, continue.
So, it's this weekend. I got to wash all the cars. That's what I got to do this weekend. so
That's your activity
yeah,
weekend, bro.
So, and the part that
He used to be like, "Hey, Katrina, what do you want to do today?" I don't know. Let's go.
Let's go to movies.
Let's go fly somewhere. Yeah.
Let's do cool things.
Yeah, let's cook.
we are
got
that couple.
friends.
That's why it's
We'll go out.
That's why it's interesting right now, right? Because we are
not going out,
definitely
dude.
the couple, and I guess you don't realize how much of that a couple you are until you have a kid, right? Because
Yep.
Katrina and I, we're blessed. We both have flexible careers. We've both done well for ourselves. We love to travel. We'd like to do things on a whim, so. Yeah, many weekends, her and I will. If we don't have plans with friends or doing things, we would be like, let's just go here and we go to our favorite resorts and spas, or get on a plane and go fly somewhere, do stuff. So I didn't realize how used to that I was until this. I'm now at the 1 month mark, right? So Maximus is 1 month old exactly, and definitely feeling the cabin fever. And I realized how much I was feeling a cabin fever when I was washing the cars this weekend, because I was just fucking excited to
Like, I'm outside.
Yes,
I'm getting sun.
I caught myself driving the car. I'm on the third vehicle, right? I've one car at a time. So what I do is there's a place that does the outside. I like to detail the inside. Well, I like to detail the inside because it just gives me something to do right now. And so I'll take the car, run it through like an outside wash, so they clean the outside, and then I come back and I have all the detail stuff. And so I go in and vacuum and detail the inside and the rims and wheels.
Put your headphones on.
I have my stereo in my garage, and so it's blaring in the garage.
Oh,
and
God, dude, you're so close to buying New Balance shoes. Let's go together.
How many Home Depot trips did you make over the weekend, bro?
I did so.
I made 2. So
and I did all of that, right? And I mean, I must have been doing that for 5 hours plus. And I come upstairs and,
It's a little mini vacation, bro.
yeah. And she's like rocking the baby. And I'm like, oh man, exhausted, like sweat's pouring down me. And I'm like, I'm gonna get in the shower. So I was like, wow, that was a lot of work, whatever. But feel so accomplished. And then we're sitting down maybe for 5 minutes. She's like, oh, we don't have dog food. And I was like, I'll get it.
Yeah,
I'm out. Yeah, I got keys in my hand right here.
She looks at me all kind of sideways like, it's okay. We have it being delivered on Tuesday. They'll be fine. I'll just make them some rice and chicken for till then. I'm like, no. I'll go get some. And she's like, looking at me all weird. I'm like, no, it's a nice day. I'm gonna go out there. And I did. I'm driving, and I'm like driving hella slow. The windows are down. You know what I'm saying? Just listening to my music, and I'm like, and I caught myself just enjoying that moment so much. And it made me realize, like, oh wow, like I'm definitely starting to get the cabin fever of being.
It's just a change, bro. Look, here's the best part. The best part about this is you'll never go back. This is it forever. For the rest of your life, bro.
Yeah, you find moments of winning.
God.
Yes, I bought a new chainsaw.
Yeah,
this weekend. I was really excited about it. You're gonna be excited about it too.
Did you really?
I did, dude. Yeah.
You're on chainsaw.
Yeah, I went outside, just felt really accomplished. Got some shit done.
Honey, do you need me something from the grocery store? Yeah. Cool.
Oh, I'm there.
I'm out of
see
here.
you later.
Do you want to take the kids? No,
Listen
cool.
to Rage Against the Machine. They won't let me listen.
Yeah.
To
Well, no, it's so funny. I remember when I'd go on vacation with it was me and Jessica and I once a year do this thing where my cousins come and whatever. My cousin's married and he has 2 girls. Now, my situation is dual custody, so I have my kids 1 week on, 1 week off. There's some challenges with that, but then there's also I always try to look at the positive. It's like, you know what? I get a weekend of tasting what it was like without kids where we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
So we go on this trip or whatever, and my cousin and his wife are just fucking raging hard. And Jessica's like, dang, she's like, they party hard. I'm like, you don't understand.
This is their time.
This is it.
Yeah.
They don't ever go.
That's their window.
That's it. I said, they're here for a week. They're going to fucking go nuts.
Yeah.
And then they'll go back and they don't get that week on, week off like we do.
Yeah.
Now, because I remember what that was like.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to
It's
see
funny.
if Katrina and I are going to be like that, because obviously we know that once he gets a little bit older, that family will be able to take him for a weekend or whatever. And now, because those weekends will be so sparse in compared to what they were before, we go like balls to the wall like crazy. So I mean, we already booked we're I think the 23rd or whatever that weekend that is coming up at this month. We're heading up to. I had to get out. I was like, we're fucking taking him. You know what I'm saying? Like we're going up to the beach and going to go do one of our favorite places to stay up in Carmel area. Because I just got to get out of the house.
Oh, wait, you're gonna take the baby?
Stuffy.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear about all the stuff you have to bring.
It's funny that you mentioned that because, like, so I find all my opportunities to leave the house all the time, right? And like, I even was like, I worked out with you. I think it was Friday, or we went to go to Club Sport, and then as I was going in, you had your sandals. I didn't have my sandals, right? And I got this like. This itch on my foot. I'm like, oh no, I think I have athlete's foot. So I use that as an excuse to go to CVS. You know, I'm like, I'm out. I gotta go pick something up. And so
I got athlete's foot.
Yeah, I got athlete's foot. She's like, ew, yeah, take care of that. Ugh. And I'm like, yeah, I got this. And I went and grabbed it. And I'm looking around. I'm looking for this athlete's foot spray, and there's no athlete's foot spray, but there's jock itch spray.
Same thing.
Yeah, but labeled different.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, when you buy it at the register.
So I'm at the register, and the guy's like talking shop with me or whatever, and I had something else that I bought because you don't want to just buy just the jock itch spray, right? You want something else to kind of like, I was here for other things too, right?
Steel wool.
Yeah. And so he's like trying to go through this thing, and he literally price checked me. And was just like, oh no, this isn't lining up. Hey, can you? And he got another one of the assistant, people out there to go get another version. I went through 3 different bottles of jock itch spray before they finally like got one where they're like, oh, here's this one's right.
Damn it.
I'm fucking up there, and then I'm like, I have a whole line like forming behind me and everything. I'm like, dude, you gotta be kidding me.
The whole store knows you get a rash on your dick now.
Yeah.
It's so great.
I'm like, it's for my foot. It's for my foot.
My dick is fine.
My dick's good.
There's no rash on it.
Yeah, there's no crazy stuff going on there.
Did you actually get athlete's foot, or did you just suspect?
I was just paranoid because I had an itch. So yeah, I didn't feel it the next day or anything. So I must not have.
Yeah, that's the same stuff that's in that. It's for jock itch, athlete's foot, and for yeast infection.
Oh,
did you know
I
that?
could have had all 3.
Yeah,
who knows?
Well, these days, you never know.
You never know.
Hey, what was that article was it you, Adam, that shared about California limiting full contact?
Oh yeah, no, my cousin sent that over to me. He's like,
right.
look at our fucking state. That's what he sends over to me because he's an ex-football player, right?
Bunch of weenies,
and
dude.
he sent over that, and I guess they're passing a law. I guess it was already I didn't even know this. I guess it was a law in middle school, and now it's moving its way up to high school even, where they are taking away. If I read it correctly, they're going to pass a law saying that.
Let me read it. It says California is limiting full contact practices for youth football teams to reduce brain injuries. Governor Gavin Newsom signed a law. That's fun. It's a law. Wednesday, limiting full contact practices to 30 minutes per day, twice a week, and they're banned entirely during the off season. Wow. Yeah. So is youth considered high school and lower? I think so, right?
Yeah, it must be, right?
Wow. So they only get to hit each other full contact 30 minutes.
Yeah, how are you going to prep properly for? I mean, I get the limiting amount of, exposure to like potential injuries and whatnot, but I mean let that be on the coach's discretion.
Yeah, but I thought I read an article somewhere that they did they compared the hits of a like a 10-year-old to a 15-year-old to like a 20 to
way less force production.
Yeah, I heard the likelihood of a kid doing any sort of real damage at that young of an age is like so.
They're not doing the obvious. Is what they need to do, because this for me. Okay, I've commented on this before, and I stand by what I've said in the past. I think we're going to see the end of football as we know it. Now, that doesn't mean football's going to end. What I mean is I think this is the beginning of football kind of making some fundamental changes. The obvious thing for me would be to eliminate the helmets and pads. And I know what people think, like that'll make it more dangerous. No, it won't. Actually make it safer.
Yeah.
Because rugby players don't have the same level of, they have lots of injuries and stuff, don't get me wrong, but you're not getting the same brain trauma because you're not hitting with your head the same way.
Yeah, I mean they're still proving that even body contact gives like partial like concussions too anyway, and the trauma from that. So even soccer is on the forefront for that as well. So it's like it's definitely a targeted, and it is like the most impact you're going to get out of any sport, because it's like full on collisions, and they use, like, I used my helmet as a battering ram, you know, like it's a tool, like instead of like with rugby, you would absorb a little bit more of the impact and roll with it. So it was a different tackling technique completely. But yeah, dude, I don't know, man. Like the old man in me is starting to kind of turn the corner on that and be like, dude, everybody's a bunch of pussies. And, you know, like I'm tired of like cutting out these outlets for young, you know, men to, you know, get rid of all this like aggression in a healthy environment for it.
I have to agree with you. I think sports are physical. And I don't think we can make everything perfectly safe all the time.
Half of what makes it entertaining is the danger. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, you just like you go to watch a car race around in a circle, not because it's fucking cool to watch a car drive around in a circle, but because there could be a crazy accident that's super fucking scary and dangerous. That's what makes it suspenseful and enjoyable to watch. It's just a fact. Like, you don't watch MMA because very few people are watching the UFC because they're really interested in all the tactical moves of all the different martial arts. You watch it because somebody could get fucked up, you know, and it's scary to get in the ring and do that. Like, I think that's, you start minimizing that so much, then it'll lose its luster. People won't care about it.
We're trying to make everything perfectly safe all the time. And, you know, here's the thing. I think this law is just reflecting more of an attitude than it is trying to, you know, change things. In other words, I think this is a lot of people saying that they want this to happen. The end of what I really think is going to show the end is the enrollment rates are less and less parents putting their kids in football. Is it become less and less of a popular sport with kids?
Right.
If that's the case, that's what feeds professional football. Now, professional football makes a shit ton of money, is huge. That still hasn't shown any signs of declining, but it's only a generation or two that we'll start to see the ramifications.
Yeah, but my argument to this is that just like remember when they did that whole survey on the Olympic athletes that said if they were to die 4 years later or whatever after getting a gold medal,
would they do whatever it took to do it?
Yeah, would they do whatever it took? And they all said yes.
Yeah, no.
I think, sure, you might see this decline in like enrollments in like football at the younger population, but I think because it's too late. They can make so much money at the professional level, and us as viewers still love it, that there's always going to be that pull for someone to be like, fuck it, I don't care. I don't care if it's dangerous. I don't care if I die at 35. Like, if it means I get to be a millionaire from 20 to 35, I would do it.
Maybe, but
and there's going to be, yeah, for sure.
Well, I'll tell you why.
You got to remember the kids that are in the projects, man, and that are coming out of the ghetto and stuff like that, where their life is already at risk, and it's like either you get into drugs or get into gangs or you get into sports, and for them, sports has the most upswing or potential upswing.
Here's why I say maybe.
So they would rather go there.
Here's why I say maybe, because esports is exploding, and the money opportunities there are huge. And if you're a parent in a bad area, in a bad neighborhood, and your kid's like, I want to stay inside and practice this video game that I could potentially make money on, that's even safer than going outside and playing basketball or football or any other sport outside. All I'm saying is I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to see a big shift, but it'll take a couple generations. And I think we're all going to be shocked. Because you ask kids today, they don't know who professional athletes are. They don't really care.
No, it's definitely changing. I know the landscape is changing, but I do feel that it's one of those like a physical display. Everybody just will sit and watch. Like, they're like, wow, like, because it's watching a bunch. It's like a freak show. You know, everybody's smashing into each other. Like, there's always going to be boxing. There's always going to be MMA. There's always going to be football. There's always going to, like, the ones that have the most potential for injury, like, people want to keep that.
Well, Justin, what are you seeing with your boys? Because I know that your boys are into sports and they play video games. Like, what are you seeing with them? Like, are they full into one or the other? Or are you seeing something different?
It's like, honestly, it's like it's equal parts. So, like, between their friends and everything, what they talk about is either baseball, basketball, football, or like completely, Minecraft, Roblox, like all these different games. But yeah, it's very competitive. Like there's like a split between like interests with their friends, like right now. But I don't know if like sports are definitely taking a hit in terms of popularity.
Do you see a difference in them versus like because you played video games, I played video games growing up, and I played sports.
Yeah.
And like if I think back to like, and I love video games. Don't get me wrong, like I remember many like weekends where we would just fucking plug in and
veg out. Yeah.
That's all we would do. But I also remember too going on streaks where all we would do too is play basketball from sun up to sundown. So I think I had probably a pretty even mix of like in like real life sports where I was doing something physical like wakeboarding, snowboarding, basketball, football, baseball, playing something like that.
Yeah.
And then I was the other half like, playing video games. And for us, it was like a lot of that dictated by the day, like if it was a rainy, crappy day and stuff like that, like we're not out playing basketball, we can't do anything like that. So we're like, oh, let's muck out on video games. We play video games all day long.
Yeah.
So what do you see with your boys?
Well, I think it's mainly because they get limited time with me. Like I only allow for a certain amount of time they could even play. So it's like on top of mine, constantly trying to pitch me on like, oh, we'll do this to they're always trying to like sell themselves on getting more of that time. Like, and they talk about it a lot with their friends, but like they still are really much like involved physically, like trying to like get better at basketball and baseball.
How are they when they stay on video games or electronics for too long? Because I notice my kids it's different. Like if they're outside playing for a long time, they come inside, they're calm, it's all good, it's whatever.
Yes.
They after video games and TV all day, they're shitty.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my thing. I got to get them out of the house and get some sun and like get some activity. Because the worst is if you wait too long and they're playing. So actually, what's interesting? So Felix Gray has these like glasses frames, like kid size now.
Oh yeah.
And so we just got those. And
you got those in?
Yeah, I got them. And so the kids have been wearing them for the last like week and a half. And when they get up, sometimes before us, like they'll watching TV, I got them to wear them as they're watching TV, and like because they come up and they keep the lights off, and then they're watching like this blue screen, like even when they're playing video games, like the 1 hour, if I allow it, then they're wearing those, and so I've actually noticed a little bit of a difference in terms of being able to have them transition from that to back to reality. I swear, there's this like it's like ripping a Band-Aid a lot of times, like really bad behavior.
I gave a pair to my son because I let him play from like when his sister goes to bed at like 8:30 or 9 till about 10 or 10:30, and so he has a pair right next to his computer, and I'm like, you got to wear these.
Yeah.
And I know, it's funny. I'm trying to get him to connect the dots. One of the hardest things for me has been with my kids has been having them figure something out for themselves versus telling them. Because sometimes if I tell them, then they refuse to learn the lesson because it's just me telling them.
Right.
So I try to say it. So I asked my son, I said, do you notice any differences when you sleep when you're wearing them versus you're not? And he's like, I'll see. I'll pay attention or whatever. So I'm like, okay. So I took him the other day. I took him from him, told him I needed him, and I let him purposely use the computer without him. And the next morning he was tired. I'm like, how was your sleep? And he goes, oh yeah, I couldn't fall asleep till like midnight. I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, were you wearing the glasses? He's like, no, I couldn't find them. I'm like, oh, okay. Put him back in his room. I'm trying to get him to connect the dots.
Yeah, himself.
Exactly. And,
versus like, my dad wants me to wear these nerdy glasses.
That's that's the thing.
Well, they think they're cool, so they're all about wearing them.
Yeah, if you tell them all the time, they don't want to listen. You know what I mean? You know how many lessons I learned from my parents after I had my own kids? Like, oh yeah, I guess my dad was right that whole time. I don't want to listen to him though because he's my dad.
Well, they'll see me and Courtney wear them, and so they're just like we want to wear them too. You know, so
well, Doug's waving at us. Felix Gray's got a sale.
They never have sales.
What's the sale?
So from August 6th, which is today, till the 12th, they are offering 15% off certain styles of their sunglasses.
This has to be the first time they've had a sale since we've been with them.
They don't do sales. Wow.
That's crazy.
That is cool.
Anyway, so did you guys have great workouts? Because I saw in the group text how jazzed you guys were about Tool being on Spotify.
Oh, yeah, dude. I've been binging my Tool like crazy all weekend.
Wait, hold on a second.
Everything you said.
Yeah, I meant to say that. That's exactly how it sounded.
Justin's was binging, binging his Tool.
Dude, I told you, no joke. Okay, this is a true story. I was like this close to going out and buying a Discman because I've like it was.
Where the fuck do you find a Discman?
So first of all, I went and bought. This was just maybe about a year ago. I went and bought all the Tool CDs. So I have all of them. Actually, in fact, I have 3 of them that I haven't opened because I gave up on them ever going streaming. I just assume that they're going to be one of those fucking bands that decide they're never
do it.
Yeah, they're never going to do it. I'm like, what I don't want to be is searching for their albums and can't get a hold of them somewhere. So I went out and bought all of their stuff because I just love all of Tool's albums. So I have all of them, and it was always my number one go-to music when I lift. That's my favorite. When we talk about on the show all the different, and we agree because we're all very similar, like what's our favorite bands to listen to. We're pretty close. Tool for sure is like my number one all time. I could listen to album after album like for weeks on weeks of that for working out. So I was like, fuck it, dude. I'm going to go get a Discman and I'm going to fucking listen to my Tool I lift. And so I was already looking at
skipping.
I was like, there's nothing good I could get. It's all big and bulky. Like, oh, he's such an asshole in the gym. And then this comes out. Justin mentioned to me that they were coming, and then I right away was watching.
Yeah, you guys were crazy on the group text.
I was geeking out, dude. I mean, like, this is a big deal, dude. Yeah, they had held out for when did streaming even like become a thing? Like,
it's been a while now.
10 years or so, maybe something like that.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
But yeah, I was like, dude, no Tool, and you'd search for them every now and then, and it'd be a playlist of like songs that are kind of like a Tool song, you know, like people put together. You're like, no,
that's
this
hilarious.
is a Tool.
Wow, look at those Discman, $20.
Wow.
Do you remember how much Discman cost back in the day when
they were
first came out?
They're like $100.
Well, back in a little more. They were more than that, like 150. Do you guys know how much the original Walkman cost when it came out? First of all, Doug, can you find out the day, the year the Walkman came out? I think it was 78? It might be. Where the first Sony Walkman came out. 1979. God, look at that. Do you know how much that cost back then?
How much?
$370, not adjusted for inflation. The cost of a Walkman then was over $300.
No way.
Yes.
Damn, dude.
Yes. Super expensive, not adjusted for inflation.
Bro, you know how that's like would be like something being like $1,000 something today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it was so crazy. It was so revolutionary, right? You could walk around with music strapped to your hip. In fact, every movie in the 80s, anytime they showed a teenager, what would they show?
They
had fucking headphones with the orange.
Yeah, because before that, it was like you had a boom box that you would like have
Put
on your shoulder and you just be like, roll up somewhere.
No, that was how much it cost back then. So imagine if you want to talk about how markets have make prices go down, you could buy a cassette player now for $5, I'm sure. If you wanted to. I mean, we saw disc players for 20.
I mean, they're hard to find.
You could probably get it for free. I'm sure someone would give it. Someone's got something in a box.
Did you guys ever have an original Walkman?
Not that one.
Me neither.
Yeah, no.
No, not that one. I had one of the ones that was like it tried to reinforce it with a thicker plastic, you know, like the big yellow one. Yeah.
When Discmen came out and everybody had them in the gym, I stuck to a Walkman for a long time because
I did too.
They didn't skip.
Yeah, I did too.
A disc.
I tried the Discman. That didn't work.
I was late. I was one of those guys that like was late to the CD and the DVD. I had video.
You know how revolutionary shuffle mode was?
Oh yeah,
like that was like, whoa! I could do it in a different order.
Yeah. Do you guys know the story behind Beta and VCR? Remember Betamax?
Yeah. The big ones.
No, Beta was smaller.
Oh, which one was the Laserdisc?
You're talking about Laserdisc, yeah. No, Betamax were like VHS. They were, tape or whatever, but they competed with VHS. The difference was Beta got licensed to Sony only. And they said nobody else can make Beta. And they thought they were being smart. But the problem was that it didn't work because VHS allowed everybody else to use that technology.
Oh, that's similar.
And Beta went down the tubes.
Laserdisc.
That's like same bullshit that happened to Blu-ray, right? Is Blu-ray?
Blu-ray, versus HD DVDs.
Yeah, yeah.
Just goes to show you, whatever.
Stupid.
Anyway, so I got a study.
It's like dinosaur shit now. Anyway,
yeah, no, everybody listening's like, huh? I got a study on epigenetics. Is kind of interesting. So they did this big. This was a big study, I believe, in the University of San Diego, if I'm not mistaken, and they found that people who suffered from like terrible trauma and tragedy. Now, when people have a trauma or tragedy, even if they come back and live a normal life, their life expectancy is much lower. The stress has a real effect on the body. They're finding that their children and grandchildren have the same thing, even if their grandchildren have.
What?
Yeah, that the epigenetics are causing. It's like you can almost pass on your stress, if you will, through your genes.
Wow.
How crazy is that?
That is crazy.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if that's. I mean, is that going to make future generations?
It also makes sense.
Better and better.
Like it makes sense too. When you have like someone like drive and passion, like so you see that sometimes get passed down in generation. Like you got a dad who was like this fucking grinder, hard worker, and then your son ends up being that same way too. I wonder how much of that is passed down to him versus learned. Like I just assumed it was a learned behavior. Like, oh, you see dad working really hard, and so you assume that you're going to work really hard.
Well, to me, that's obvious, right? The behavioral aspect of it. But the other side of it seems obvious to me too, because think about it. If you and your partner are making a baby, it makes sense that the information that the sperm and the eggs contain, and then when they make the baby, it makes sense that it will pass on the probability of what the environment will be like for that baby to be born into. You know what I'm saying? So if you both, if food is very scarce, very, very scarce, it makes sense that the genes will be switched on to store more calories and to be more frugal with, burning calories, because the genes are predicting what environment they're being born into. Same thing with stress. If the baby believes that, if the genes believe it's going to be born into this high stress environment, the genes that help the body or help the person survive the stress are also genes that make the longevity not as good.
How many generations does it take to phase that out? I wonder.
Well, it said they found it in children and grandchildren, so maybe 2 generations. I don't know. It's kind of crazy though, right?
It is crazy.
It's really wild. There was one guy who wrote about that he believes that, and he was a scientist, that he thinks that ADD and ADHD qualities, because when you read about ADD and ADHD, there's some detriments to being that way, but there's also some potential positives. Like, what's the evolutionary role of that? Well, somebody with ADD and ADHD probably took more risks, was the first person to go over the hill, to explore what's over there. People with ADHD tend to do better in sales jobs and stuff like that as a result, because they're kind of, changing directions all the time, moving, whatever. And this one scientist said that he thinks that a greater percentage of people with ADD and ADHD were the immigrants that came to America. Because think about the scariness of leaving a country, coming to another country, don't speak the language, especially in the early days where you didn't get nothing. It was like you come here and you survive or you don't. That it was like a self-selection of people with ADD and ADHD coming to America and then their kids being born here. And he said that he thinks that's one of the reasons why our rates are higher. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, but I think it's an interesting theory.
That is an interesting theory.
This Quaz brought to you by Organifi. For those days you fall short on getting your organic veggies or whole food nutrition, Organifi fills the gap with laboratory-tested, certified organic superfoods to help give your health and performance the added edge. Try Organifi totally risk-free for 60 days by going to Organifi.com. That's ORGANIFI.com. And use the coupon code MINDPUMP for 20% off at checkout. First question is from Steve Kellerman. What are the pros and cons to a powerlifting type approach to training and to a bodybuilder type approach to training?
Excellent question. All right, so I'll start with the pros of the powerlifting style of training. Number one, you learn really, really good, effective and efficient technique and form with your movement.
It's more objective.
Yeah, you are focused on perfecting the movement to maximize leverage and maximize just your overall performance. So a powerlifter, when they're squatting, and I'm talking about raw powerlifting. I'm not talking about wearing squat suits and all that stuff. It's a whole different ballgame.
You're also talking about the big four too.
Yeah,
because the one saying that, you have to be careful, I feel like, because one of the drawbacks I see of powerlifters when they transition over into bodybuilding is they try and power lift the isolation exercises.
I was just going to say pros and cons, right? So the pros are like powerlifters squat well, they bench well, they deadlift well, but they don't know how to feel. They don't feel muscles, and I don't mean that they don't feel their muscles working, but they don't know how to make muscles work and feel them squeezing and isolating, all that stuff. And powerlifting, because it's performance based, doesn't have the same longevity.
Yeah.
If you bodybuild and you do it right, you have a lot of longevity. You could lift like a bodybuilder forever.
Oh, you look at Dexter Jackson, just won first place in the last pro show.
Almost no injuries. And he's never trained. He never trained like the other guys, like Dorian Yates and Ronnie Coleman, who trained with lots and lots of heavy weight. Branch Warman, lots of injuries, for example. Dexter, barely any injuries, and how old is he now? 50 something.
Yeah,
and he's
winning pro shows.
He won
still.
the Tampa Pro. Looks amazing. But powerlifters, again, they got that technique. They also have that objective quality of strength. Their powerlifting programs are usually way better written.
Some of the best.
Yeah.
Superior for
sure. Bodybuilding programs tend to be shit in terms of how they're written.
It's very simplified, and it's like, you live in the bilateral movement. Like that's, I guess, one of the detriments too, is like you're just not going to be, experience a lot of like unilateral type situations or split stances or anything like that.
Yeah, no.
It also builds a different type of a body. When most people that are listening to this right now tend to be somebody who's looking for aesthetics, right? Looking to change their body composition. Most people that are listening to our show fall in the category of wanting to feel better, look better. And powerlifting is performance based, so it's more about what you can do versus how well you look or sculpting and shaping a body.
I think the key here is to know that there's pros and cons of both and to do them both.
Oh, well, 100%.
That's where you're going to get all the value.
Benefits to both for sure.
And I think the way I would look at it is when you're first starting out with lifting, a powerlifting approach might be a better approach to start with, but then as you continue, you more and more bodybuilding. Like I find myself doing that. I don't lift as heavy as I used to because the risk versus reward isn't good.
I agree with you, but you have to explain something that, because just hearing it come out of your mouth too makes me go like, oh, I bet there's a bunch of people that are thinking like, when you hear power lift, right away you assume like max lift and like super heavy weight. Like it sounds like, oh, that's power.
No, I mean the programming.
Right.
Workout
But I
programming.
think that's important and I think that's what scares a lot of. This is what definitely probably kept me away from training that way. I was never trying to get a max lift. I didn't care about that because I wasn't a power lifter. And so when people used to ask me as a trainer in my 20s, like, oh, what's your bench? Or, oh, what's your deadlift? What's your squat? I'm like, I don't know. And I trained for years and years, not knowing what my heaviest bench, heaviest deadlift, heaviest squat is, because I never lifted that way. I never did singles. I never did doubles. I never did triples. I never did anything less than 5 or 6 reps. So I couldn't honestly tell somebody like I've never actually tried to just lift a weight so heavy I could only get it up one time. And I think that people assume that if you're into powerlifting, that's kind of the main objective, that your goal is to lift the most amount of weight possible. Therefore, you're training this way that just doesn't appeal to somebody who's just trying to train for aesthetics or look better or look different, right?
No, I like powerlifting too because for people who have body image issues, powerlifting is a great way to transition out of that. If one of the most effective things I could do with my female clients in particular, who had lots of body image issues, was to say, we're not going to focus on your looks. All we're going to focus on is how strong you are, and we're going to train for strength. We're going to see how we can get your deadlift, your squat, your bench press, your overhead press, and take your focus off of your body. And it was great because they could take their obsessive, tendencies in terms of looking in the mirror and weighing themselves and focus it on performance, which is a good transition. You don't want to stay there because you become obsessed about that too. It's not good for you. But it's a good transition out of the body image stuff. And it's good for people who want to speed up their metabolism. So if you have someone that over diets all the time and is doing too much working out all the time and they're just like, I need to get out of that and I need to just focus on my performance.
It's also very clear on your progression, right? Like when you are bodybuilding and you are using a mirror and a scale to kind of tell you like, oh, am I doing a good job? And you have, especially if you have mental issues like you're talking about, Sal, where you have some sort of a body image issue, then it's really easy for yourself to play mind games. So your body looks fatter today. Oh, you don't like the way you look. Oh, the lighting's off, or you're holding a little extra water, so then you look different. But, it's very clear if, you are stronger this week or weaker this week than you were the previous week or two. And so I like it for those reasons too. I think it's a much better place. In fact, a lot of clients, even if I'm not training them in powerlifting and specifically, I still will use strength as the main indicator for us to focus on, because even if we're following a bodybuilding program, I think it's healthier for most clients to teach them that way.
Agreed. And then the other thing about bodybuilding is it teaches you how to feel the target muscles you're trying to work, which is the exact opposite of what you're trying to do in your powerlifting. Like when you're a powerlifter and you're bench pressing, what muscles you feel are literally irrelevant. You're besides the fact that you want to be able to get in the right position to maximize leverage and lift the most amount of weight. That's when you start to feel muscle, like activate your lats or whatever. I get that. But you're not trying to feel your chest or your shoulders or your triceps. You're just trying to lift the most amount of weight, and so you're working on leverage and technique. With bodybuilding, it's about feeling the muscle. So if you're like, I'm doing heavy squats, but my butt isn't developing the way I want, or I'm doing lots of bench press, but I don't like the way my chest looks, then you would go into bodybuilding and figure out how to feel the target areas you're trying to focus on. Bodybuilding's better. The bodybuilding mentality is better for correctional exercise too. If I took a powerlifter and tried to do corrective exercise with them and told them to isolate and feel what they're trying to do and connect to the movement, it's a different mentality completely. With a bodybuilder, I can have them move and say, you're trying to feel it right here, and they'll be able to connect.
You can
to
adjust the tempo a lot more, with your bodybuilder type of a program. And I just can't see that working out too well with powerlifting and really like highlighting the eccentric portion of the lift specifically. You're going to be able to feel a lot more as you do like a bodybuilder style, where we're focusing on like each individual joint and try to gain that connectivity, which will then feed into the overall result. If that's why they blend well together and they actually work well. I
mean, to break it down, powerlifting is you're trying to consistently get stronger at particular lifts. In powerlifting, it's the squat, the bench, and dead. And that's always the goal, is to get stronger at those lifts and to do other exercises and design your routine around getting stronger at those lifts, and learning how to maximize leverage and technique in order to get better numbers. Bodybuilding is all about developing your body, developing different parts of the body to look a particular way.
Sculpting the physique.
Longevity-wise, bodybuilding's superior. If you had to just pick one and you want to do it for the rest of your life and minimize injury, you would train like a bodybuilder, and you would be able to do that forever. Powerlifting, the longevity is just not there. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't old powerlifters out there. I'm not saying there aren't 70-year-old or 80-year-old competitors. I've seen them. But the odds of hurting yourself by training like a powerlifter just higher.
Sleeves on every joint.
Yeah, it's just higher. You make yourself stiff. You could hurt yourself. Always challenging how much you can do. Whereas a bodybuilder goes in there and the weight is arbitrary. A real bodybuilder, a true bodybuilder, unless the weight is changing so drastically that they're like, oh my God, something's not working. A bodybuilder really doesn't care. They just care about what it feels like and is it developing the muscles the way I want them to. And that's a mentality that lasts a long time. It's got great longevity. If I'm in the gym and I'm a powerlifter and I'm watching my numbers go down because I'm getting older, which will happen, that fucks with your head. Now with the bodybuilder, of course, the changing of the body fucks with your head also. But when they're in the gym, they're just feeling it. So to a bodybuilder, it's like, whatever, 135, 315 on the bar, I feel it in my quads, where I want to feel it. It's a better mentality longevity-wise. I'm not saying it's a guarantee again, because I think both people could be kind of, fucked up in terms of how they approach things.
Well, that's like you said, in the perfect world, you live in both. In a perfect world, you take a little bit of both, and depending on what you're, I think, more attracted to, whether that be if you're somebody who cares more about being strong in the performance aspect, you probably live in the powerlifting world a little more and occasionally are bodybuilding. If you care more about aesthetics and shaping and sculpting and the way you look, as far as then you spend a little more time in bodybuilding, but still occasionally work, in the powerlifting world. And I think the combination of the two of those, it carries over into both pursuits.
I think for the average person, every 12 weeks, you should probably have 2 to 4 weeks of powerlifting style training. So 2 weeks to 4 weeks, you could have that kind of a phase every 12 weeks or so for the average person. That'll reap the benefits of that kind of training. It'll give you the aesthetic benefits, because powerlifting training does give a different look to the body, in my opinion. This is my anecdote, but I know that solid look that people powerlifting or heavy lifting tends to produce that. And I think that's about it. Unless you're a competitive powerlifter, I think more than that, and you're starting to get that.
That's a good conversation, and it's debatable. I don't know. I don't have any science to support it. I've talked about it on the show before. I know you've shared it. There was a significant difference in the way my physique looked after I got into powerlifting also. And the best way that I can describe it is I was always the guy, because I trained like a bodybuilder most of my career, and hypertrophy and supersets and chasing a pump, which is, I think that's most people can relate to that. If you train this way, it's all about the pump and the feel and the muscle thing, right? When I trained like that, I looked amazing in the gym. When I was aired up, when I was all pumped up. But an hour later after I left the gym, I would feel like I would deflate all the way back down to the size. When I got into powerlifting, even though powerlifting never seemed to give me as good of pumps as the bodybuilding type workout, where I didn't feel as inflated, what I felt was I had put on like size that didn't go away when I left the gym.
Dense. Gives you that dense muscle.
Right. That to me is the biggest difference that I personally have experienced by adding powerlifting for a guy who cares more about aesthetics. It actually has made my physique look better throughout the day, no matter what.
Is it true? Did Arnold start as a powerlifter or Olympic lifter first? Yeah, before bodybuilding.
Yeah, they all did back in those days. And him and Franco used to do powerlifting cycles in their training. It was part of their training. Bodybuilders don't really do it so much anymore because I think the risk factor, the injury risk factor. But some of the top bodybuilders of all time lifted that way. Again, Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman, But again, look at them now. Injured, and Dorian tore muscles, and Ronnie really had a bad time. I think I don't know how many surgeries he's had on his back.
Dude, his hips are completely replaced.
Yeah, and at a certain point, let me put it. I mean, at a certain point, maxing out is always a higher risk because you're just really pushing your body really hard. But also consider the amount of weight that you're lifting. If you hit your goal and get real fucking strong, when I'm deadlifting 500 pounds, if I'm off a little bit, the potential for injury is way higher than when I'm off a little bit with 315.
Yep.
It just is. So that's another thing to consider.
Next question is from Low Without Limits. What are the pros and cons to ab machines like the Hoist Crunch and Oblique Twist ones? Would they have any benefit due to the resistance you can add, or no real benefit because they're a machine that doesn't fit everybody's body?
I think that for the most part, I'm not a fan of machines, although you could easily catch me using one of these machine crunches myself personally in the gym. But the reason why I'm not a fan of it with most people is abs. When I think of it as a trainer, all the clients that I had and trying to get them to connect to and use properly, abs is up there with probably the top 3 as far as most difficult. I think of lats. I definitely think of abs being up there.
Everybody just folds forward.
Yeah,
they can't really isolate their abs.
Right. It tends to be a hip flexor exercise for most people. And when you get in a machine that's really not designed specifically for your body, it makes that even harder. So it's real easy for you to use your arms to pull down on, use your hip flexors to lift up on. And so even though these machines are really cool and I think you can't, and you still feel it in the abs. So that's the thing where people go wrong is they're like, well, I feel it in my abs. Well, yeah, your abs are working too, but a majority of the load is you're cheating with your arms or with your hip flexors, and you'd be far better off just getting on the ground and doing something more slow and controlled.
If you're folding forward at the hips or largely at the hips, your abs have to stabilize. They still have to stabilize your spine. So you will feel it in the abs, but you're not working your abs in a full range of motion, and you're working a pattern, or you're developing a pattern where your hip flexors become dominant, which that down the road that can contribute to increased risk for back injury and problems. So you're not going to develop your abs as well as you want aesthetically, and you're also going to potentially set yourself up for more energy and for more injuries. I have yet to ever find a ab machine or oblique machine that I was impressed with.
Yeah,
and I've seen a lot of them.
Oh,
it's tough to load. Yeah, it's tough to load.
I'll tell you one that I really like. I like the ab rocker one where your knees are on the slider that's on like a U.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You need to have really good. I use that one too sometimes. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That.
Yeah.
If you don't have good control of your abs,
right,
good luck.
Well, all of them are that. To me, all of them can suck for most people. But I can't say that, and then all of a sudden someone sees me inside the gym and they catch me on one of these machines.
But you know how to make that do, because how easy would that be to do with just your hip flexors?
No, totally. And swing reps. And roll it and swing it back and forth completely. But what I like about it is my spine is completely free. And it's not confined in a machine, and it allows me to tuck my tailbone really, really well. So it's one of my favorite ab machines that exist that are out there. But to Sal's point, again, I still would not teach that to a client until I've got a client who really can engage their abs and move properly. If you're that person and you're listening, then all of these machines can be useful, and cable crunches that you see people doing and all these. There's a lot. The problem is, in my experience, the clients that I've trained, it's one of the top areas that someone has a really hard time activating. They're just not connected.
Totally. I would say this: learn how to really work your abs through a full range of motion. Get good control of them. Develop them well without machines. Then, when you get to that point, then you could probably
know how to navigate better.
Yeah, then you could probably find some machines that'll benefit you. As far as obliques are concerned, cable chop.
Yeah.
A cable is going to be your best. If you want to add resistance to twisting movements, use a cable chop. Again, I have used oblique machines that lock you into place that you have to twist. It's so easy to just use your arms and your legs and not use the obliques to rotate you. It's almost like those machines are good only if you're already good at working those areas.
Right.
If you're already developed and if you've got those muscles working really well, go ahead and give them a shot. If not, I would stay clear away from them. I would say this with machines, pressing movements and rowing movements tend to be the better use of machines. Once you start to get to certain things like arm movements are okay, but only if your arms aren't too long or too short. Leg exercises, same. Legs are too long or too short, probably not good. But boy, these ab ones, I mean, you really need to know what you're doing in order to use them right.
Next question is from Living Proof 277. What do you recommend for Deload week, and how often should you do one?
Now that's a really tough question to answer because it's going to be completely different for every person. Going back to the very first question we answered right now with the bodybuilding and powerlifting, like I could have a bodybuilder who's been training and scaling his workouts for months on months and even years, and like not have to throw in a deload week because they're not really fucking stretching themselves the same way that a powerlifter would. Now a powerlifter real easily, I'm talking about myself here, I can catch myself again chasing the PRs and increasing weight and lifting singles, doubles, and triples, and it's real quick. My body. So yesterday, this is how I train. This is not a deload week, but this is along the lines of this conversation. So on what is today? Today's Monday. On Friday or Saturday, I'm getting one of my days mixed up here. But Friday or Saturday, I posted on my Instagram. I was heavy deadlifting. I was deadlifting 450, which is really heavy for me right now. I haven't lifted that heavy in a long time, and I wanted to kind of stretch myself. I wanted to see what I could pull right now because I've been working towards it again, and was doing heavy singles. So I did like 4 sets of singles, 450 something. And boy, I mean, my low back is fried. And then I was due on Sunday to do legs. And so I would love to squat, but my low back is so toast that it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to do that. So, even though that was on my original plan to be front squatting that day, my low back and core was blasted from the heavy deadlift. So I actually leg pressed and used leg extensions and sissy squat. I did a lot of things that didn't load my low back. So even though I didn't do like a real deload week, but these are the adjustments where it'd be individualized on the person. Like if I had somebody who just went really heavy on something and really stressed their body that much, then yeah, it might call for backing off a little bit for a day or 2 or 3 maybe even, or just modifying the exercises and movements. Yeah. I mean, I could have probably I'm in a super motivated mood right now, so I'd still train. Adam, who's just cares about longevity and health, probably would have just done a mobility day instead of even training, leg press and hack squats and the things that I did on the machines. But that's an example of kind of deloading the body, even though on the program it would have called for me to be doing front squats.
Yeah,
I kind of look at it, and maybe this is more of my functional background is an opportunity to add in more, planes of motion and body weight type movements. I know for me, if I'm a bit too fixated within like the sagittal plane and doing like bilateral movements consistently, which I do, I tend to really gravitate towards that because I like strength training. I like, the powerlifting style simplicity of training. And then I could get into like 3-4 months consistently training that way. I need to break up and and get back to, you know, more planes of movement, more you know, connectivity. Like even if I'm adding mobility in between, like I could definitely use you know, like a week, 2 weeks of you know, body weight style training and unilateral style training.
Yeah, I would say so. Here's the thing: the problem is a lot of people don't have the same intuition with their body as you know, other experienced lifters. Like I know how to deload myself when I need it.
Right.
And that's how I do it now. But for a lot of people, they just don't know. You know, what do you mean by that? How do I know I'm doing too much? How do I know I'm doing too little? Like, what's the deal? So what I used to recommend to people was every 8 to 12 weeks, take a week off. Now, what do you do in that week? Does that mean you stay at home and don't do anything? No. That week, your goal is to be active. That's it. So the week off is a week off from the gym, but during that week, just try to be active. Go hiking,
go
go
for
outside.
a hike. Yeah, hike a mountain, work on mobility.
That's it. Stretch, work on mobility, do body weight movements. Just kind of easier, but stay active. So what you're looking at is about 4 to 6 deload weeks a year is what you're looking at. And if you schedule them that way, you may find that because they're scheduled and because you'll do them because they're scheduled, your body will progress better. Because one of the biggest mistakes or problems I think a lot of people make when they train is that there's 2 mistakes. You know, one, they have shitty workout programming, and 2 is they just go too hard too often, and that causes their body to stop progressing. So again, from my experience, I'd say every 8 to 12 weeks.
I think that's an incredible recommendation.
Yeah.
I think if you're hitting four deload weeks a year, basically every quarter, you're breaking up a week of just nothing but swimming, rowing, hiking, mobility type work.
You typically will come back stronger.
Yeah, no, you will, especially if you do a good job of that. If you do a good job of, because sometimes you give somebody a week off and then they use that as an excuse to not train, and then they eat shitty, they're lazy. That's not going to benefit you a lot. But if you actually make it a goal of yours to go out and do other physical things that maybe you wouldn't be doing, I think that's an incredible. It reminds me. So every year in July, we used to, when we were in our 20s and stuff, we used to go wakeboarding for a week, 10 days actually. And I was always in the middle of training, and I was a trainer during these times. But I always came back feeling amazing because I still was doing something very physical. I mean, you get anybody who's wakeboarded for hours and hours on the lake in a day and swimming around on the lake, I'd be exhausted. We would definitely, and I wouldn't put on, I'd be eating whatever because we'd be camping and stuff like that, and I wouldn't put on any body fat, and then I'd come back feeling stronger than what I did when I left.
That's the key. You should come back from a deload week feeling good, fresh, and stronger. You should feel a little bit stronger. Yeah. You should not come back from a deload week like, oh man, I haven't done anything. This is hurting. I can't move right. Treat a deload week the right way, and you'll accelerate your progress, not decelerate it.
Next question is from Fitty Lil Fang. Are sore or painful hip flexors a sign of a mobility lapse or of overuse? What exercises would you recommend to ameliorate?
Okay, so sore, as in muscle soreness, that's probably overuse. Pain is probably a mobility issue. Now, both of them can also be from mobility in the sense that if your mobility is poor and your hip flexors are working in ways that are not as efficient, then you may be getting more sore than you need to be. But yeah, this oftentimes is if you have a chronic pain that keeps popping up, I would look to mobility as one of the first things, always.
Well, what do you guys when I think of the most common things when I had somebody, because this is actually really common, because their hip flexors because they're taking over a lot of movements where the glutes or the abs should be helping, and they're not because the hip flexors are so dominant. This kind of goes back to the ab conversation that we were just having. So the most common reason for this that I have seen is somebody that has an excessive anterior pelvic tilt. And
that's where your butt sticks out.
Right, yeah, right. So if you can imagine kind of with your butt sticking out, and it doesn't even have to be excessive, it's just enough to where the hip flexors now are dominant, and then you go and you squat and you lunge and you do all these other exercises that the glutes should be helping out, but they're not because you're kind of tilted forward and they're taking. I did a YouTube video. It's one of the ones that have the most views. I don't remember the name of it. I'll have to look. Maybe Jackie can reference it in there where I talk about the weight being over on your hip flexors because of an anterior pelvic tilt and learning to get the glutes engaged and fix that. So that seemed to be the most common thing for me. It would be somebody who has an excessive anterior pelvic tilt. They're still going through a normal program like MAPS Anabolic, but they're not addressing the imbalance that they have and all that's happening.
They're reinforcing it, and then they're also seated, a majority of the day, and all these like reinforcing that shortened position. There's a lot of contributing factors to that. Like, I've noticed even just like changing your patterns where it's like this, just that like position frequency throughout your day all the time. And then you go do a heavy squat, you do, some ab specific exercises, but you're reinforcing, your hip flexor, like taking over that exercise. It's a compilation of all these things.
Yeah. If your hip flexors bother you when you do exercises like squats, I would go and do all split stance exercises for a while, because the front leg in a split stance exercise, like a lunge, is just like a squat. It's very similar to a squat. But the back leg, because it's kicking back, is forcing that hip flexor to kind of be more in an elongated position, a little bit of a stretch. And so you're getting more balance. So I recommend split stance exercises for people with these kind of issues. Here's the other thing. Strengthen your core. Now, you may be thinking, I do lots of core exercises. Okay, let me be a little more specific. Strengthen your core and develop different recruitment patterns. Get it so that your abs do more work when you do something like a plank or other core exercises, and your hip flexors do less. And then when you go to brace and stabilize your core, you might not be as dependent on your hip flexors to do everything for you. So like we have another video where I demonstrated a plank, and I'm teaching people how to get into what's called a posterior pelvic tilt to get the hip flexors to be less active and get the abs to be more active in a plank. That's a great exercise for people with hip flexor issues. There's another video with hip flexor deactivators.
I was just going to say, we've done several really good YouTube videos, because this is actually really common.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when we were doing all these videos back when we were on the YouTube channel, the first videos that we tried to address were the things that we saw the most. And hip flexor dominance is extremely common. I mean, it's really, really common. And more often than not, and it's not saying that it can't be a mobility thing. More often than not, it's just that it's more of a posture thing. Like, you probably have an anterior pelvic tilt because it's common. That's lower cross syndrome, right? I mean, it's extremely common. I have it. A lot of people have it. A lot of people have it excessively. And then if you go and you don't address it, and you still train and you do all the basic exercises everybody does, you can't help but just reinforce that, like Justin was saying. So there's a couple great, really, YouTube videos that we've done that help somebody in this area.
Totally. And if you go to mindpumpfree.com, you can download our guides. They're all absolutely free. You can also find us all on Instagram. You can find me at mindpumpsal, Justin at mindpumpjustin, and Adam at mindpumpadam.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now, plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.